song.
Și bine v-am găsit la Free Time. Îți dorești să petreci un timp relaxant, dar vrei ceva mai mult decât un film sau un serial? Poți realiza acest lucru vizionând documentare. Vei acumula informații în cel mai relaxant mod posibil. Dilema socială este un documentar menit să tragă un semnal de alarmă cu privire la rețelele sociale online. Cu toții petrecem ore bune din timpul nostru pe rețele precum Facebook, Instagram sau Pinterest.
When you go to Google and type in climate change is, you're going to see different results depending on where you live and the particular things that Google knows about your interests.
That's not by accident, that's a design technique.
What I want people to know is that everything they're doing online is being watched, is being tracked. Every single action you take is carefully monitored and recorded.
A lot of people think Google's just a search box and Facebook's just a place to see what my friends are doing. What they don't realize is there's entire teams of engineers whose job is to use your psychology against you.
I was the co-inventor of the Facebook like button.
I was the president of Pinterest.
Google, Twitter, Instagram.
There were meaningful changes happening around the world because of these platforms. I think we were naive about the flip side of that coin.
We get rewarded by hearts, likes, thumbs up, and we conflate that with value and we conflate it with truth.
A whole generation is more anxious, more depressed.
I always felt like fundamentally it was a force for good. I don't know if I feel that way anymore.
Facebook discovered that they were able to affect real-world behavior and emotions without ever triggering the user's awareness. They are completely clueless.
Fake news spreads 6 times faster than true news. We're being bombarded with rumors.
If everyone's entitled to their own facts, there's really no need for people to come together. In fact, there's really no need for people to interact.
We have less control over who we are and what we really believe.
If you want to control the population of your country, there has never been a tool as effective as Facebook.
We built these things and we have a responsibility to change it. The intention could be, how do we make the world better?
If technology creates mass chaos, loneliness, more polarization, more election hacking, more inability to focus on the real issues, we're toast.
This is checkmate on humanity.
Escrocul de pe Tinder a fost printre puținele documentare Netflix în top vizualizări la nivel global. În lumea în care trăim, întâlnirile online sunt extrem de facile, precum a cunoaște un potențial partener romantic. În realitate însă nu știi niciodată cine este omul alături de care tocmai ai petrecut o seară.
He took me to a 5-star hotel. He said we had a special connection. It felt like stepping into a movie.
You number brought me? You're gonna pay for it.
This isn't your regular catfish story. This is like a whole other level. Simon Levive, he was born Shimon Hayat. He grew up in a small town, a town just outside of Tel Aviv called Bnei Brak. His father is a rabbi. His sort of criminal charges and so on stretch back a number of years. In 2011, he had committed a number of small frauds in Israel, but he'd fled the country. And then in that time, he conned 3 Finnish women. And this is sort of just the things that he's been charged with. Simon surrounds himself with a business partner, a bodyguard. He does drive around in Ferraris and Rolls Royces. He does travel on private jets. So the persona of Simon Leviev, i.e. an heir to the Leviev LLD Diamonds diamond fortune, it totally stacks up. By the time Cecilia and Pernilla and Eileen met him as Simon Leviev, he'd almost become the very best Tinder scammer you could be. The interesting thing, I think, that we learned while getting to know them and getting to understand the relationships and reading through the incredible archive that we had, which was their WhatsApp logs. We were all messaging constantly. And what we discovered was that actually these women didn't fall for Simon because of his money. That wasn't the case. Like, Simon was a committed, reliant, loving, caring boyfriend.
He said he has threats against him. He needs our cash. $20,000, $30,000, $140,000. His life depended on me.
The way that he does the con is to get these women to open up credit cards in their own names. So it's like a fingerprintless crime in a way. And he was then spending on the credit cards and then sending them bank transfers saying, look, I'm sending you this money to pay off this credit card. And then 2 days later, an excuse comes. Oh, I'm sorry, it's because the bank is closed. But all the while they're doing this because he has genuinely made them believe. And, you know, I think anyone who was in this situation would also believe that his life was, you know, totally in danger. And that if they didn't help him, you know, the person that they love at this point most in the world, then, you know, that he would die. And when they discover that he isn't who they thought he was, the guy that they've slept with, that they've been sharing a bed with, that they've entrusted with, you know, secrets and so on, is why this sort of devastation that's felt is obviously and understandably so real and so strong and so horrific for them.
Two guys from American Express comes to you. They said that that's him, that's the guy. They told me that they had a long investigations on him already, and that I was a string of 4 or 5 women. I almost wanted to throw up.
He was obviously then caught in Greece, knowing that now Simon is out of prison and is seemingly looking like he's living a fabulous Instagram lifestyle, you know, still driving around in Ferraris, dating glamorous women, I think for them is very, very difficult to stomach. But what we've wanted with this film is for it to feel like, you know, a little bit of justice for them, because essentially, you know, we are exposing him for who he really is. I just thought, well, wow, this is an amazing story that offers so much, and at the heart of it are these two, you know, incredibly charismatic and brave women. We've all been ghosted, we've all had sort of experiences of dating online and so on. For me, the message isn't close yourself off and, you know, don't lose your faith in finding the right person for you. For me, it's more about, you know, speaking out when things like this happen to you, because there's a real power in that. And I hope that the women feel sort of empowered by how we've told their story.
Interiorul celor mai dure închisori din lume este un documentar amplu de 6 sezoane. Acesta urmărește parcursul unor jurnaliști de investigație care devin în mod voluntar deținuți în unele dintre cele mai dure închisori din întreaga lume. Este un documentar dur, dar extrem de bine realizat, care prezintă modul în care se desfășoară viața unui deținut.
Here's the prison now. This is it. This place is run by a gang.
My advice to you is do what they say, because they've got their own code of conduct that we have no control over.
My name's Raphael Rowe. I'm travelling the globe to discover what life is really like inside the world's toughest prisons.
Can you give me a tour? I want to know how things work here. There are no guards supervising these prisoners.
gang leader, they must obey me.
If you follow these rules, you would get incentives. If not, you will get a disciplinary action.
What's the worst disciplinary action? You must be very careful what you say.
Our main focus is rehabilitation.
This is the cell block?
Yeah. It is unsettling. It's too comfortable.
You're in for murder.
I think we have to treat them as human beings. I don't think it will get any better if we just lock people up and throw away the key.
We've got to survive, they say.
We are in prison. We are brothers.
It's a war. It's a war against mankind.
We got no choice, they say.
We grew up in this thing.
I don't want my children to be victims of these people.
Is it the only way?
That is the way it is.
În mintea lui Bill Gates decodat. Documentarul împărtășește povestea de viață a miliardarului Bill Gates. Vei putea vedea lucruri precum obiective de viitor sau persoane care au avut un impact semnificativ în viața acestuia.
Bill Gates, what's your favorite animal? Dog. What's your favorite food? Hamburger. What do you eat for breakfast? Nothing. What is your worst fear?
I don't want my brain to stop working.
Bill is a multi-processor. He'll be reading something else, but then processing at the same time. It's chaos. He thrives on complexity. He makes a framework in his mind, and then he starts slotting in the information.
If something doesn't line up, and he gets really frustrated, it's scary.
But when Bill stills himself, he can pull ideas together that other people can't see.
At Microsoft, I worked night and day, and that was how I made sure Microsoft stayed ahead. I could be so extreme.
You never understood the first thing about this.
Microsoft hit a new record high on Wall Street.
Rivals paint a dark picture.
They'll do whatever he can to capture more of the market.
Our mother wanted him to focus on community and family.
I gave my mom a hard time not following what she wanted.
You don't raise a family hyper-focused in your head.
Each one of us has to start out with developing his or her own definition of success.
I had the wrong way of looking at things. In life, you have to decide what's important in the world. I will look at energy, climate change, and disease eradication. It's important that we start deploying solutions unnaturally fast.
We are running out of time here. He tends to look at problems from unusual angles. There hasn't been innovation in nuclear energy for 25 years.
What are the odds of getting the job done?
If you want to make a dent in this, you better think in wholesale magnitudes.
He's at his best when the deck is stacked against him.
There's many challenges. This is harder than I expected.
Ultimately, it's not what you get. It's what you become.
Omul, o mașinărie uimitoare. Cu siguranță este unul dintre cele mai bune documentare Netflix pe subiectul anatomie umană. Structurat pe baza a 6 episoade, acest documentar prezintă într-un limbaj extrem de accesibil felul în care organismul uman funcționează. Dacă ești interesat de subiecte precum simțurile, reacțiile sau chiar nașterea, acest documentar este unul pentru tine.
When I'm fighting, the mind and body are one.
It's astonishing how adaptable our brain can be.
Can we make prosthetic hands to restore touch?
Cam asta a fost pentru astăzi, dar voi să nu uitați de un like pe pagina noastră 1+TV, dar și de un subscribe pe canalul nostru de YouTube. Iar în secțiunea de comentarii vreau să-mi spuneți la ce documentare vă uitați. Bye, bye!
Promovează-te online printr-un conținut calitativ. Imagini inovatoare, spoturi publicitare. testimoniale, fotografii profesionale de produs, text, voice-over. Suntem o întreagă echipă care va contura imaginea produsului și a firmei pe care o deții. Plus TV, plusul tău de imagine.
Domina Imobiliare. O nouă imagine. Vinzi, cumperi sau închiriezi. Domina Imobiliare te sprijină.
Urmează să vindeți, să cumpărați sau să închiriați un apartament, o casă, un teren, un spațiu comercial sau industrial, echipa Domina Imobiliare vă stă la dispoziție. Domina Imobiliare. Inovare în imobiliare.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go!
Inspire everywhere. A film produced by Inspire Pictures.
Accesează mertecom.ro. Produse profesionale pentru curățenie și igienă. La noi găsești o gamă diversificată. Comandă acum! Alege produsul dorit, adaugă-l în coș și plasează comanda. Livrarea produselor se face în 24 de ore. Îți mulțumim! Accesează mertecom.ro. Promovează-te online. Direct și sigur, creăm strategia potrivită business-ului tău. 1 Plus TV, plusul tău de imagine.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.